Welcome back to the Out of the Desert podcast. I'm Brian Evans, joined as always by Ryan Herrington. And today our sponsor is Google Gemini. Not really, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm going to be the old guy. You're on your front porch. Get off my lawn, man. Like, I absolutely detest AI, man. I'm sorry. I'm just going to put it out there. And I'm a Star Wars junkie. So, the thought of a little R2D2 unit run around my house, not 3PO. I would just tear apart a 3PO. But the thought of a little unit telling us all kind of stuff, fixing stuff is kind of cool. I don't have an Alexa at home. I don't do a Google Home thing. I only speak to Siri by accident. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to talk to this. But I understand it has benefits. So I'm opening myself up to receiving the benefits of the AI. And, just maybe I watched too much Terminator as a kid or something. I don't know. Like the machines are going to take over at some point. But I will tell you this. This is a pet peeve of mine. And we're going to talk a little about Joshua Tree today. We've been doing a lot of hiring and we've hired a lot of people since we've taken off and grown. I absolutely detest, like delete an application. Tell me about yourself on our application, Brian, if it is generated by Chat GPT. I'm sorry. If you can't talk about yourself without AI having to tell you what to say, gone.
And you can always tell.
You can. I would like to help the stakeholders. Who says stakeholder? The last time I thought about a stakeholder was the guy that brought me my steak at Longhorn. That's a stakeholder that I can do business with right there. That's all I got to say about that.
See, being on social media, I hate when I see these posts like all the time where you can tell it's obviously came from ChatGPT because there are emojis all throughout the thing. Yeah. It's more bad as you can always tell it's a certain way, and it's like now I use AI to a pretty good degree. But here's my thing: don't make it obvious. Don't make it obvious that you just literally just copy and pasted it in somewhere, and just let it go. I mean, make it have a human touch or human voice at the very least.
I mean, let AI be an assistant. It's supposed to be an AI assistant, not an AI take over your creativity. And just blows me away, man. Our application literally says, tell me about yourself. And then I get this Chat GPT, Google Gemini, AI just generated, having come from a family of 4 and with a degree in psychology and with a major in, I'm like, who starts off with a prepositional phrase? Like, come on. I want to email can you spell preposition? Can you do it? Because I'm just curious here, I'm the old guy. Get off my lawn, man. I'm telling you, that's me.
So today we're going to talk about Joshua Tree. What is Joshua Tree? Like, what do we do? And what's it all about? We mentioned a few times before, and we've kind of referenced a little bit of what we do, but we thought we'd take an episode here and just kind of go a little bit deeper into it. If you've seen us on social media, or if you've been listening to our podcast and you've heard the name Joshua Tree, we're not talking about the U2 album. We're not talking about the national park. There's we're here to do something a little bit different than that. So I guess my first question, Ryan, if somebody asked you, okay, what is Joshua Tree in a nutshell? What would you say?
Wow. I mean, ultimately, I'll just go ahead and put it out there. I feel like we're a ministry. In a lot of ways, now for contractual purposes with the state of Georgia, we are not a ministry. We are an independent faith-based service provider, independent agency. But the heart and the mission of what we do is very much ministry, and helping people, in our stories, both of us came from church ministry. Both of us felt a call to do ministry. After spending, 20 years in vocational ministry, kind of ran into Rehab and little interesting journey there that got me to where we are today. But ultimately, man, it's I think Joshua Tree is an organization that we believe in Jesus Christ. He's in charge of all things. He's called us to reach out to the least of these. He's called us to, go the highways, the byways, the hedges, and help people and show the love of God to people. And we do that through these services we provide from vocational rehab, the transition services we do in the high schools, the stories that we get from there, the things that take place, the vocational services that we do, the one-on-ones with these individuals, help them get their life together and find a job and take that next step. So, I mean, in so many ways, I would say, man, the legal answer is that we are a independent agency. A more descriptive answer would be we're a faith-based independent agency, and probably just straightforward truth is I believe we're an arm of ministry is what we are, and what God is using us to do and help make a change in people's lives.
Yeah, so we don't rarely ever, if ever, include any scripture in anything we do. We don't like blast that for everybody to see. Now we do have our like your life verse is
Yep.
on our website, a few different places right behind you.
Yeah.
So it's there, but we don't preach to people. We don't try to like convert them to Christianity and nothing like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in that regard, like we're doing ministry, we're doing everything the Bible tells us to do for others,
Yeah.
and trying to help people. What people may call them the least of these people
Yeah.
who feel like they had no hope. We're trying to help bring hope to that. And
Mhm.
so I like the answer. That's a good answer. I mean, because that's at the heart of Joshua Tree. I feel like that's who we are. Um, and
Well, it's like Jesus said, all men will know you're my disciples by the way you what? By the way you love each other, right? Not by your church attendance, not by how much you give in an offering plate, not by how spiritual you are or what you do and you don't do. It's how you love each other. If I'm of the opinion, if you have to walk around saying I'm a Christian for people to know you're a Christian, you're probably not a Christian, right? If I have to walk around with a cross around my neck for you to realize that there's something different about me, then we've lost the plot somewhere, because being a Christian is not about what you wear necessarily or having to broadcast all these things. I mean, you know, uh, Jesus didn't walk around the 3.5 years on the earth, walking around going, "I'm the Son of God. Hey, y'all, Son of God here. Hey, me, miracle worker. I made you. I know you. Know your thoughts. It's okay. I forgive you." None of that. He 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 did his own thing, man. And even you think about him broadcasting those things, when Peter his disciples like, "You're the Son of God," and Jesus like, "Who said that?" It's like I'm not even putting this out there, like, who told you that? It was revealed by my Father in heaven. Yeah, that's just kind of been my thing, is all men will know that you're my disciples by the way you love each other. um and so for us, yeah, we want to love on people, whether it's a high school student that feels worthless or doesn't feel like they measure up, because they have this disability or this barrier or this situation. We want to go in there and build them up, and so they understand. Yeah, you are important. Yeah, you do have worth. Yes, you do have potential and promise. No, your life may not be like theirs, but why you wanna be like them? God made you to be you. Let's find out what is in it for you. If it's we go into some of these schools, into their self-contained classrooms, which are your students that are most severe and profound usually. Um, Typically these students may or may not ever be able to work a job, possibly. It may be more of a customized situation, or they may be, there's different day homes or like sheltered workshops or something that sometimes you're real severe, they will can find stuff in. But over and abundantly, individuals that are severe and profound, they don't have the opportunities to get regular jobs or competitive jobs, I think is the thing the state calls it, competitive jobs. But what we can do is get in there and, man, we have the greatest time with them. We build them up. We learn about who they are. We learn about all the things that they love and enjoy. We build those relationships with them where I mean, seeing the smiles on their face, we walk in the room, every week to talk with them. And then a lot of times when they graduate through our vocational services, we work with them there too. And so if that is finding them a position as a silverware roller at Longhorn. Man, I got steak on the brain, I guess. You know, started off at Longhorn. Here we are. You know, something as simple as that, man, makes such a difference in these kids' lives where they realize, man, I can do something. And again, it may be small, but I can do something. And it just makes such a difference. That's showing the love of God. Um, Something as simple as I got this text from Ashley Toomey. Love Ashley. Ashley is one of our instructors in the Thomasville area. Her and her husband, Pastor, just phenomenal people. Um, Ashley and Rachel have been friends forever and a day. And she has remained her friend, even though Rachel's married to me, which is an amazing thing as well. And then she came and worked with us. So there's that. But she she does the pre-ets, the transition stuff at Seminole County High School. They reached out about maybe going to celebrate all the kids. We went to a Mexican restaurant, took them out there. We paid for all their food. Kids were just, you know, it was probably like 15, 16 head of them. They're all just nice as can be, just excited to be there. Thanked us so much. She sends me a text of these cards. When she went back to teach the following week, they all made handmade notes and cards they gave to her with her own handwriting. Some of it very, very broken, can't hardly read it, but just thanking her. And this is all they understood how to do. I mean, I sat at my desk and just got all teary eyed. They're writing in there, "Thank you for loving us." That's what they said in the note. "Thank you for loving us," because we took them to the Mexican restaurant. Thank you for loving us. And that to me, that there's ministry, man. That's where we're pouring into these kids. We're taking initiative. They know that they're important to us. And that changes somebody's life, you know. I want to not just be somebody that here's what the word of God says, but let's go do the word of God at the same time. And I think that's what Joshua Tree does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So kind of like knowing your story, what is it about what we do that really just fires you up and gets you going?
Yeah. That's a great question. You know, when I talked about my story before in pastoring, um, I thoroughly enjoyed pastoring in some ways. Because I do truly love people. I love making a difference in people's lives. I love walking alongside people, walking through things. I love preaching the gospel. I love preaching the gospel. Love preaching the gospel. Did I say that 3 times? I meant to. I love it. I love the word of God, man. I love it. It's treasure trove stuff in there. Love preaching. Um, the thing that, as I talked about in my story, the thing that I always felt like I fell out with was I felt like ministry, the pastoral ministry had really become pastoral maintenance. I felt like we were just going to church because it's what you're supposed to do. We're singing the songs because they go with the message. I'm preaching because it's Sunday. We're all giving because it's what you do. And there's a layer of truth in all of those things. There are things that we do because that's just what you're supposed to do. But I felt like for me, at least, it just felt like that's all we were doing was just maintaining. And I don't mean as far as growth, we were growing, our churches grew. When I stepped away from pastoring, we had over 300 members at the church we were at, up from 12 when we started it. So I mean, obviously numerical growth was there, but still, it just still felt like, man, there's more that can be done. I remember one of the events that we did, it was around Mother's Day. There's a lot of single moms out there in the world trying to you figure out, you know, what to do and so forth. And so for Mother's Day, our church, I had a vision to do this big community thing. We did a Mother's Day out. It was a Saturday. We had all the men come to the church, and we advertised it. The men did free oil changes and tire checks for any mom that showed up. We had other like grandmas and not that they're not mothers, but you know, they don't have small kids at home anymore, but they were inside our social hall. They had hors d'oeuvres, that's whatever it's called, which is a nice way of saying we got some food up in here.
That's some finger foods.
Yes. So we had snacks and stuff like that. We had others that were doing pedicures and manicures and all this kind of stuff. If you brought your kids, we had an activity upstairs where we had our kids' church people that got together and they helped these kids make Mother's Day cards. Because if you're a single mom, who's buying you a Mother's Day card? Your 5-year-old can't. So then we did that. And so it was just a big thing. Everything, all of it was free. We didn't charge anything to anybody. We had probably 40, 50 moms come in, man. Thing is, they came to church the very next day. And just had we had a great experience there. We had a lot of the mothers came and confessed Christ as their savior. Just an awesome thing. That kind of stuff fires me up, man. It's get outside the box, find a way to touch somebody, find a way to make a difference. But I'm telling you, there was a large group in my church that absolutely hated we did that. It was like, man, we could have used these funds to send our kids to Winterfest, or we could have used these funds to have sent them to camp, and we could have done this and we could have done that, and for me, that was just more of the things for me to say, I'm done, man. I want to do something that's going to change people's life, and it's not that the pastoring can't, it does. Thank God for pastors. I like to think God used our pastoral ministry to change lives. And if the Lord ever opened the door again, I would follow whatever he told me to do. But I just felt like, man, there's got to be something else. And Joshua Tree has kind of got that fire, man. The stories that I've seen, the things I shared in our first episode about the young man in Irwin County. We had a kid in Thomas County when I got to doing this. I got him signed up for services. Sat down with him, and in our first one-to-one meeting, he said, "How long is it going to take till I get a job, Mr. Ryan?" And I said, well, I mean, this is not a time process. You're in what's called supported employment. I mean, we got like 12 months. He said, I mean, I need a job in 3 weeks. Just like, oh, what's happening in 3 weeks? And he tells me this story, and again, this is his story to tell, but he tells me this story. He's like, Mr. Ryan, I've been dating my girlfriend for a while. He had just graduated from high school. He said, and we're not married, but she got pregnant, and she had the baby, and we broke up, and now they're trying not to let me have anything to do with, because I don't have a job and I have a disability, and they're saying I'm unfit. And I was like, oh man. He said, and so we went to a court hearing, and the judge said that if I could get a job, then he would give me temporary half custody, joint custody. And then if I could hold that job for 3 months, then they would review everything and consider me fit. So, Miss Ryan, can you do something in 3 weeks for me? And I was like, oh my Lord and mercy. This is supported employment. Usually don't land a job in 3 weeks for meeting somebody.
Right.
But that fired me up so much. Kids sitting there, we're at the library in Thomas County crying, like I don't want to lose my little girl. And dude, it grabbed a hold of my heart with 2 little girls myself. And Ron went and stayed in Thomasville for about 2 weeks, got me a hotel room, drove back and forth, and we got him hired in about 2.5 weeks. He got joint custody of his kid. They came back and fought again and said the job wasn't good enough. So we went back and got him a better job at a school, and he ended up being the head custodian there, making good money, and got custody of his kid. And it all started at a supported employment meeting with this kid saying, can you help me? I got 3 weeks to save my child. That kind of stuff. I mean, that's like a red flag at a bull, man, in the Matador show. I'm telling you, like, let's go, man. Let's go. That's the kind of thing that drives me. It's when a school, Chris County High School, calls me and says, we got Special Olympics come up. Would there be any way that y'all could help in any way, shape, or form? Absolutely. So we help Special Olympics, and then we get these cards back from these kids. Thank you so much for supporting us and helping us. And I won first place, and showing you pictures of their medal and stuff. And that's what it's about, dude. And that gets me fired up. Yeah.
That's good. Well, we talked about a little bit before. I plan to have Chris Kendrick on that episode, kind of talk about the origins of what was then Employment Matters of South Georgia, what will become Joshua Tree. So hopefully he's has some. I think you say he has some scheduling conflicts there. So hopefully we
Yeah,
get him in
yeah.
for next episode.
Chris is
Talk about
sorry. That's what happened. Chris just decided he didn't want to be on. That's what I'm
oh
just kidding.
yeah, probably so.
I love Chris. Chris is awesome.
But so we'll hear from him about like the very beginnings of Joshua
Yeah.
Tree and or of the company that become Joshua Tree. And so whenever you came on board just as a an employment specialist. Am I right?
Yeah, but essentially like a partner, I guess you would say. I mean, Chris was in the process of looking at closing the company out. He had, I mean, he was provider of the year when they were giving that award out. He had been doing it for 15 to 18 years. I think by the time I came on, 1999. I came on with him in 2019. About 20 years there. And I would say, I think, and Chris will be able to tell it better. I think over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, it was kind of tailoring down. He was keeping it open because he had been working with Lowndes County High School with their group for years and years and years. And so that was kind of the vehicle that he was using to continue working with those kids. But there were no vocational services going anymore. There's no supporting employment, no job placement, no job coaching. That had pretty much ended for all purposes. And so Justin Foss, who also works with us, he had helped Chris out several times in employment matters and worked with him as well. But when I met Chris in spring of 2019, I mean, he was just very honest with me. He was just like, "Look, I think God put our paths together. The counselor called me and said, I've got to meet you. Counselor called you, said, you've got to meet Chris. Here we are meeting. I think it's the God thing. I can't offer you a salary. I can't offer you referrals. We haven't done referrals in years. I have nothing to offer you at all, except the opportunity that if you want to make this company yours, come to work with me. You can use the full backing of what I've been able to establish and then just build it. I'm going to give you a foundation and you build it, make it your own, add to it, tear down, whatever you want to do. And yeah, so basically just it was no salary. It was, whatever you produce, because I don't have any money coming in to pay you. So, whatever you produce, you give me a percentage of it for being the business covering to start with, and then you take a percentage of it to live off of, and we'll see where it goes. And that was a huge step of faith for me. Especially talking about my story in episode 2 of I had nothing, no job, couldn't find a job. I got into doing this voc rehab stuff in 2018 with another company, and it just we didn't have the same vision. I'll say it that way of things. Felt like there were some things going on there I could not get on board with. Prayed for a way out, and all of a sudden I meet Chris, and so coming from a place where I had no job, no money, trying to take care of my kids, trying to keep be in my girl's life and be everything to them. And then here's this big step of, okay, if you take this job, there's a big reward at the end if it works out. But you may not get a paycheck next month because there's no salary, there's no nothing. You're really betting on God, betting on yourself that if you take this step, there's offices going to work with you. There's schools that you can find. And dude, I just felt like God said, go for it. I got you. And I think that was probably one of the first times Joshua 1:9 showed up, I think, in my life was, you know, don't be afraid. I got you. Wherever you go, I've got you. And I felt that. And so we took the jump. And year one, grew. Year one, I think we got to 5 or 6 BR offices. And I say me. I was running those offices by myself all over the state, driving from Columbus to Brunswick to Savannah, back down to Valdosta, Thomasville, Statesboro. There used to be a Reedsville office, everywhere in between, Macon, um, Albany, just hitting them all, doing everything I could, because my family depended on it. And because I fell in love with this thing. I mean, it was a passion in me to see this take off. And year one, we grew. Year two, we grew. I did this by myself for the most part vocationally for about 4 years, 4.5 years. And then we started bringing some people on as we got established. Um, I, I guess the last 2.5 years of Joshua Tree has just been explosive growth. And we've been growing ever since 2019. And you've been on for the last couple of years, so I think you've seen it. I don't know any other word to describe but explosive. I mean, it's been just didn't plan for this. And I don't mean in the sense that we didn't want to succeed or grow, but it literally, we're not talking about from one office to 3 offices. We're talking like 1 to 13 offices. We're not talking about, 2 or 3 schools to 15 schools. I mean, over the last 3 years, we went from 12 schools to now 77 schools. We've got almost 1,200 students that we're providing services for on a monthly basis, which is just crazy. I mean, when I graduated Jeff Davis High School in 1998, the year of our Lord, I don't think there were more than 900 kids in the whole high school. And we're serving over almost 1,200 students. It's crazy. The growth, the things that we've seen. I think we're serving 400 or 500 people outside of the transition services and vocational services, the mentorships, the trainings, the job placements, the supported employments. It's wild, dude. Over 30 employees now. Just moved to Tennessee. So we're starting in Tennessee now, and now we're going to be a Tennessee service provider. I've said this 2 or 3 times over this podcast. If you'd have wrote this out for me and said, this is going to be your life, I'd have laughed at you, because it's phenomenal, man. And God did all of it. It's a phenomenal thing.
That's one of the cool things to me I'm thankful I've been here long to see this explosive growth.
Yeah.
And it's not slow enough for any of us can claim credit for it.
No.
I feel like we're good at what we do, but we're not that good.
No.
but with when God blesses something and God has a plan for something, I mean, just get out of the way or get on board, because I mean it's going. I mean, he's got a plan of some sort for us, and I'm excited to see what he's got and how much further we can go with this thing.
Yeah, I do too. And it's just been phenomenal. The people, a point you've made a couple of times is, you come out of your desert, you go through hard times, you go through situations. God has a way of bringing community to you, right? There are people that he pulls into your life, and and you didn't seek them out, but God just kind of made the connection. And there's so many people that work for us right now. That's the story. That's, we advertise for positions. We got a couple right now that we've got there that we're advertising for. And obviously we've hired from that, but most of the people that we've hired are relational connections that some of our people have. There have been several times where you and I have talked about, we need to put an ad out for something. And then before the ad ever gets out, some random person emails us on the contact page. Hey, I don't know if y'all are ever hiring up here, but if you are, I'd love to talk to y'all. I'm like, okay, all right. As a matter of fact, we are. Let's have a conversation. And it's like God just keeps putting people in our pathway that already has a vision to do something like this, a heart to really touch people. And there's been a lot of really, really good connections. We could talk about a lot of the people that work for us that are just doing a phenomenal job, love what they're doing. And we owe them so much because of what they give. I'll give you your flowers, dude. One of the ones is you, man. The connection. We've always known each other, but then the connection that God brought us together, and we're doing this, and you're a major part of what we're doing, and the growth and everything that's going on. It's just, that's what God does. And when we talked last week about all the wills of God, when you're following what he wants for your life, like, he just starts surrounding you with things. And sometimes you go through the deserts and the hard times, but if you just keep walking, keep trusting, don't be afraid. Joshua 1:9, he's going to work this thing out. And he has just proven to do it time and time and time again. And that's why we're here right now, man. At the end of the day, we're not that good, but he is. And that's been a phenomenal thing for us.
Oh, you definitely. And so before we wrap up, since this is a lot about Joshua Tree, we talk about what we do. If there's somebody that's watching this, or if somebody watching knows somebody who could use our services, what's their first step? What do they need to do to get started with us?
Yeah, so we are a dedicated service provider for GVRA. So we work solely with clients that are with the state. So if you have a disability, and you're out of school and you say, hey, I could use some help, maybe an internship, a mentorship, finding a job, learning how to get a job, you're going to register with GVRA to become a client. They're going to assign you a vocational counselor. And then you just simply say, hey, I'd like to work with Joshua Tree. And they'll send your information to us. We'll contact you. And we're going to get we're going to get it going. How do I apply for GVRA? I believe the website, I went to it enough. gvs.ga.gov is the website for GVRA. There's a referral link out there, I think on the top and the middle of the homepage. So you can submit your information. Somebody is supposed to get back with you like in 30 days or less, and then kind of get you going. If you're a school and you say, hey, we're interested in your services, shoot me an email. Our information's there on the website. My email is ryan.herrington@thejoshuatree.org. Shoot me an email. Happy to talk with you. We're adding schools all the time. Literally just got an email yesterday from a private school over in the western side of the state, and said, we've got 25 students. Can y'all come serve us? Yes, we can. So you have to be registered with GVRA to receive our services. Right now, we are completely dedicated to them and work with their clients. I think we keep exploring ways to maybe do more, and maybe we'll find a way there. But right now, that's how we do things.
It's good. And I'll make sure I'll put the link to that referral link. I'll put the referral link in the description, as well as your email address if anyone wants to reach out. Make it as simple as possible to help somebody get started. And then make sure you ask for Joshua Tree to be your provider. Yep. And we'll go through them, and if you make it through the process, then we'll get started and help you see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. We got people all over the state. So wherever you live, we pretty much got somebody there. We have our local office in Donaldsonville, which is about as far southwest as you can get before you see Florida, which is not a bad thing. But we have people that live all over the state that work for us. And so, if you're in an area that you need some help, let us know. If we don't have somebody there, maybe we'll find somebody there. So,
sounds good. So thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you for joining us today. And remember, the desert may be where you are, but it's not who you are. And if we help you in any way, please get a hold of us, contact us. And we still share your story. thejoshuatree.org/podcast. Fill those little form out. Let us know. And we'll be happy to hear your story and maybe talk about it one day.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, and hope you have a great day.